Hello there, foodies. You gorgeous lot. How are we doing? Hello. Hi. It's so strange coming to you live from my kitchen here in Bedford rather than being in Bristol with you this weekend. Oh my goodness, we miss you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Charlotte White, and this year I will be hosting what will now be known as the Berry People Theatre at Foodies Festivals. Yes, we are very much hoping that, subject to government regulations and the state of the world, we're hoping that we'll be able to come and see you later this year. Please do watch this space on the Foodies Festival Facebook page for any updates. As soon as we have any information, we will share it with you. But we thought in the meantime, so that you didn't think we'd forgotten about you, that we'd do a little something for you live here on Facebook. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in last week and watched me make my Victoria's Sweet Blackberry Blondies. Thank you too to everybody who had a go at the recipe and who's let me know how it turned out for you. I hope they turned out absolutely delicious. Ours went. I have been dropping little care packages around to the neighbours, leaving them on their doorsteps, ringing their bells and running away. So I'm that kind of neighbour. I'm a feeder of a neighbour. So it's all been going down pretty well here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a real treat that's going to, shall we say, make our weekends feel a bit more like a weekend. If, like me, you're at home in lockdown and the weekends are starting to blur into the weekdays a little bit, and you think, well, you know, I was at home all week, I'm at home all weekend, and it doesn't feel as special as a weekend normally feels when you've got parties to look forward to and festivals and fun things to get involved in. So food is a really great way to kind of perhaps separate out your weekdays and your weekends, and I think having a special breakfast is, for me, just the perfect thing that makes a weekend feel like a weekend. In the week, I try and be good. I try and have my, very healthy cereals and fruits, and then at the weekend, a little bit of a treat. Maybe a baked good. Yeah, I'm a fan of baked goods. Do you guys like baked goods? Oh, I tell you what, baked breakfast goods. Perfect. But then I was thinking about what should I incorporate, what flavours should I use, and perfectly in season at the moment we have these. Ooh. These are Maravilla raspberries. They are a premium brand of raspberries, a premium type of raspberries. When you go to your supermarkets, because these are in season, what you want to do is look at the packet, look at the punnet, and it will always tell you the country or the county of origin. As near to you as possible is always good. And it will tell you the type, it will tell you the variety. What you're looking for is the word Maravilla. And when you see that very glamorous name, Marvellous Miss Maravilla, this is what you're looking for. And very much the same as with our Victoria's Sweet Blackberries last week. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for ginormous. If you're going to do fruit, look at that, it's nearly as big as my head. If you're going to do fruit, go big or go home, my friends. And the Maravilla raspberry is larger and plumper, which is always nice, than your standard raspberry varieties. And as a result, it's also sweeter, which, if you're like me and you have a little bit of a sweet tooth, is wonderful. It means that, for our weekday breakfasts, shall we say, some of these Maravilla raspberries, perhaps maybe with a little bit of a yoghurt, keep you going. Just on their own, they are absolutely fantastic. They're packed full of fibre. A handful has 8 grams of fibre in it, it's a lot, trust me. And that's going to help keep you fuller for longer, which is always a good thing if you get that sort of mid-morning slump. So chucking a handful of Maravilla raspberries, even on your boring cereal, is going to keep you fuller for longer in the week time. For the weekend, we have a whole other way of treating these. We're not perhaps going down the healthy route at the weekend, we're going for a treat. And what I'm going to show you how to make today are my Maravilla raspberry and yoghurt breakfast muffins. These can be whipped up so quickly. So you can come down, maybe a little bit worse for wear, you can come downstairs in your dressing gown, whip these up really quickly, and they will be ready inside of 20 minutes. So that's the kind of thing we're after for breakfast. Before we start, we do need to have a little bit of a chat about the muffin cases that we're going to be using, especially for you guys who are baking along at home, because if you haven't got these type of muffin cases, we're going to need to make some changes for you. So these are the type of muffin cases I'm using. They're called tulip muffin cases, and they're the type that you see when you go to a fancy cafe and they've got fancy muffins there, and beautiful, lovely, lovely sort of temptations for you. And what you can see when you look at my tin is that they are sticking up quite a long way from the top of the tin. So the top of the tin is here and it's coming up quite a lot higher. The difference is this. This is your standard muffin case, okay, that we get from the supermarkets. This finishes pretty much where the tin comes to. The tulip case, which these are available in the supermarkets, and if you can't find them, you can origami your own with baking paper, but look that up separately because you don't want to watch me fold paper. It will be very fiddly and boring. With these muffin cases, the muffin can rise up higher than the tin, which is what we want. We, go big or go home, right? We want a big muffin. If you could only get hold of these regular muffin cases, that is fine, but please do not try and fill them up as high as I'm going to, because my goodness, will you make a mess in your oven. If you've only got these cases, just don't fill your cases up as high as I'm going to. You'll probably make maybe 9 rather than 6, which is never a bad thing, but we want a nice big muffin here, that's what we're after. So that's our cases. Are you ready to get started, everyone who's baking along with me? Yeah? If you're not baking along, don't worry. We're going to share the recipe after this broadcast so that you can have a go in your own time. And please let us know how you get on, because we love to know this. Right, okay, well, first ingredient, we've got 150 grams of plain flour. We're only making half a dozen here. If you want to make the full dozen, you need to double all of these. But this is 150 grams of plain flour. I know a lot of you have had lots of problems getting hold of flour. I spoke to Carolyn here on Facebook this week. If you're there, Carolyn, hi. And Carolyn was having real trouble getting hold of plain flour. The supermarkets, it's so tricky. If you are in a supermarket and they keep the flour bags down low, get down on your hands and knees, because sometimes there's a lone bag that's gone to the back of the shelf and you can sometimes pick one up that way. Failing that, you're going to have to think outside of the box. Try local shops, try corner shops, convenience stores, and if you're lucky enough to have independent zero waste shops, we have one here in Bedford called The Store, which I love and I went to yesterday, and they had every type of flour, including gluten-free, and I took my bags and filled up my bags full of flour, so there's plenty out there. You just need to be a little bit of a detective about it. So 150 grams of plain flour in my bowl, and into that I'm going to add 130 grams of caster sugar. I'm using white, you can use golden if you want, which whatever you can get hold of is all fine. Pop that in there. And then we're going to need something to help it rise. If you only could get hold of self-raising flour, that is absolutely fine. Just don't add this baking powder to it because you make a right mess. So it is fine. They won't rise the same, but they will rise. So that's all good. And I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, whenever we say a teaspoon of anything, it means a level teaspoon. That's our default. So when you get your little spoon, take a finger and just wipe off the excess so that it is level. So that's 2 teaspoons of baking powder gone in, and then a little pinch of salt. Just helps to make you salivate. It's always good to have just a tiny pinch of salt in your bakes. Lovely. So that is as difficult and as taxing as we want to get first thing in the morning. I know we're doing this at 2 o'clock, but I think these are going to be perfect with an afternoon cup of tea at about 3 personally. And if you're baking along with me, 3 o'clock, everything stops for tea, right? We'll all just get together and have a lovely cup of tea with our our freshly baked breakfast muffins. So I've given that all a little bit of a stir. Whenever you're adding a raising agent in with flour, it's really good to give it a stir just so you know that it's evenly distributed and you're not going to end up with sort of, you know, clumps here and there. So there we go, that's the dry. We then move on to the wet ingredients, and we have here 170 ml of low-fat plain yogurt. Why low-fat? Believe me, this is not for health reasons. It's just it helps with the rise of the cupcake. What am I talking about? The muffin. So we don't want a high-fat content in there. Low-fat works better. Again, if you could only get hold of full fat, it will work. This is just the preferable option. And to that, I'm going to add in 85 mils in my little science beaker here that makes me feel like a kind of mad scientist. 85 mils of sunflower oil. That's going to go in there. Lovely. And this makes the muffins super moist, which is just what we're after. Gorgeous. Then we're going to add in an egg. I've got one large egg, so hopefully if you've been having trouble getting hold of eggs, we only need one for this. There we go, crack him in there. Lovely. And I'm going to whisk that up. Now if you wanted, you could add in a little bit of vanilla here, but I don't think it's essential for this muffin personally. I like the raspberries to be the star of the show, and actually that slight tang from the yogurt is really nice, so I don't like to dampen it down with vanilla. There we go. Which is rare for me because I put vanilla in everything. My pancakes, they always have vanilla in. Excellent. Right, so now we have wet ingredients, dry ingredients. We're going to introduce the two together. It is as simple as that. There we go. Right. A little lump of sugar there, which I'm going to get rid of. I'm making a well in the centre. Now this is something that we often do in baking, and we do that because it allows us to bring in the dry ingredients gradually, and we also don't end up with that kind of weird clump of dry flour at the bottom of the bowl. So if you just take a second to move, there we go, you see there? Just moving the flour to one side so that you get a little well in the centre there. Lovely. And into that is going to go our lovely wet ingredients. The noise there, it's real, is it ASMR? Is that what they call it? The sort of sounds that make people's hairs stand up on the back of their necks. It's a lovely noise. Right, I'm going to get all that in here. I'm using my trusty spoon slash spatula, my spoonchula maybe we've a name for it. There we go. And I'm going to gradually incorporate the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. There we go. See? I'm just folding them in. Oh, I'm making a mess because I'm looking at the screen and not on my bowl. Isn't that terrible? There we go. So we're bringing them all together into a lovely mix here. Oh, it's gorgeous. Now obviously I'm taking my time here so that you can bake along and so that we can chat. If you were doing this in the morning for, you know, for loved ones, this takes no time at all. It's work of minutes. It takes longer to do the washing up, and if you've got a dishwasher, you can just chuck it all in there. There we go. So I'm bringing all of that together. Now, important thing with muffins, don't go at them like the clappers. Don't mix them hard. I've not put them in the KitchenAid. I have just done this by hand because they want to be worked as little as possible to keep them light and fluffy. So once you get to the stage where everything is sort of coming together, but there's still a few little dry bits of flour, once you're there, it's time to add in our Maravilla raspberries. And this is my favourite bit because these are so beautiful. I've got here in my little bowl 100 grams of Maravilla raspberries, and I'm going to just tumble them in, let them go into the muffin batter. And as I stir them, I'm folding them in so that I don't overwork the batter, but I am going to give them a little bit of a squish. And there's two reasons I'm doing that. One is because they're so beautiful. The colour is so beautiful. I don't want to limit it. I want to spread it out a little bit through the muffins. And the second reason is just so that they go a little bit further and we get a bit of a contrast in shape and size, because they are enormous, like I said. So this is going to give you a nice little bit of variety in each muffin, in each bite. They won't all be the same. Muffins never are, unless they've been made in a sort of very controlled factory condition. They're all going to be a little bit different, a little bit higgledy-piggledy, but that's the fun of it, isn't it? That's the fun of it. So we've got all of that mixed together, and that is our muffin mix done. Look at that, beautiful. It smells beautiful as well. Now here's a top tip for you. Whenever you're working with any kind of batter that's behaving like this, keep your jug handy, because if I try and spoon this into the cases, we're going to make one awful mess. So I'm going to use my jug to do this, and a little bit of back and forth, which is where, as you know me, if you know me from Foodies, you know I never wear an apron, and sometimes I'll end up regretting it. It's normally when one of my other chefs throws something that's, you know, forgets to sort of put the mixer head down and turns it on, and I get covered in buttercream. That's happened a good few times. There we go, lovely. Oh, excellent. Right, so all of that is in my jug. Pop this out of the way, and I'm going to use the jug to put the batter into the tulip cases. There we go, so hopefully you can see there. There we go. There's comments at the bottom, so it's a little bit tricky for you to see, but this is the best way to divvy up your muffin batter, and that's to go just a little bit at a time into each case and then go back again, because that way you get a nice kind of, like I say, you get that variety, you get a bit of difference in each case. There we go. And every now and then you get this great big plop as a giant Maravilla raspberry hits the deck, which is most satisfying, because you know that that's going to be delicious when you bite in to these muffins. There we go. So reasons to eat these, my friends, are many, and I've done a lot of reading around these, thanks to our friends at Berry People, who are going to be sponsoring our theatre this year. And they actually say that Maravilla raspberries, they, aside from being a great source of fibre, they may also aid weight loss and prevent signs of ageing. Now, if that's not a reason to get stuck into these, I don't know what is. I'm just going to be eating these all the time. And then when you see me, my goodness, you won't recognise me. You say, oh my goodness, she's so young. That's what I'm hoping for. Now I'm going to scrape out the rest of this, because you know I'm greedy, you know I don't like to waste anything. And I think at the moment especially, we shouldn't be wasting our food, because we don't want to be going to the supermarkets too much. There we go. But this, as a weekend treat, is something worth savouring. Now, if when you're doing this, by the way, I've been really lucky, oh actually no, I have got one little bit. If you get any batter on the edge of your tulip cases, that will burn in the oven, and it just doesn't look very attractive. It's not the end of the world, but I've got one tiny, I thought I'd get more, but I've got one teeny tiny little dot, and you probably can't even see that. If you do get any batter on the case, just take a little bit of kitchen roll and give it a wipe. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth the extra effort. I can promise you that much. Give them a little shake down, just to make sure they're all nice and level. And then one thing I am going to add as well, just as a type of decoration, is I'm actually going to add one more Maravilla raspberry per muffin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one, actually I'm probably not going to need a whole one per muffin because they are so large, but I'm going to break up the raspberry with my fingers and just press, there we go, maybe you can see there under the comments, and just press a couple of bits of fruit into the top of each muffin. Now the reason I'm doing that is because when these cook, these will be right at the top of the muffin, and just it gives you a little sense of what's inside. You get this sort of lovely little bit of fruit there, and it looks really pretty. These kind of breakfast muffins aren't really the type that you want to decorate, and you know me, you know I love decorating anything, and you know I will spray edible glitter on anything that you let me. Anything that stays still for long enough, I'll spray edible glitter on it. But with these and with this kind of baking, it's really just about keeping it simple and making the ingredients the star of the show. That's why the Maravilla raspberry is very important here, is that we're using this really special premium type of raspberry and making it the star. It doesn't need anything else at all, really. I think that these are beautiful with nothing else added on them. Right, okay, so we are now ready to put these in the oven. My oven is preheated at 190 degrees, and these little babies, here we go, can you see that? You can see the raspberries that I popped in at the top there now, can't you? These are going to go in for 18 to 20 minutes. Check after 18. If they're risen and they've gone golden on the top, they are done. Bring them out. They don't need any longer than that. So let's pop these in now. Ooh, it's a bit toasty, isn't it? And by the magic of live demonstration, even in my own home, I do happen to have some that I made earlier. And here they are. They're so pretty. Look at these. Wow. So these are my finished, look at these, I'm going to bring them over so you can see them nicely. Ooh, hi. These are my Maravilla raspberry and yogurt breakfast muffins. They come with a caveat, so this is what I would say to you, is that they are best fresh. They're really good warm. So when you take them out of the oven, and you can see from this one here that we've got that lovely Maravilla raspberry decoration in there. It's the way that I planted them in just at the top as they went in. It means you get a sense of what's inside. When they come out of the oven, allow them to cool in their tin on a wire rack for about 5 minutes, and then take them out of the tin and just cool them completely on the wire rack. Once they've come out of the tin, if you want to eat them then, you can. That is absolutely fine. They're great warm with these lovely hot, molten, huge Maravilla raspberries just nestling in the muffin. If you don't want to eat them straight away and eat them warm, they're perfect as an afternoon tea time treat, which is, you know, kind of what we're working on right now. So if I open up one of these muffins just to show you, just to tease you. Oh, should we do this? Here we go. Oh, look at that. So there's all these lovely Maravilla raspberries in there. It is absolutely delicious, I can promise you that much. Now we're going to share this recipe in full with you very shortly, right here on the Foodies Facebook page. So please keep an eye out. If you do bake at home, let me know. It makes my day to know that you've tried a recipe and that you've enjoyed it. If you made any substitutions because you couldn't get hold of bits and pieces, let me know how it turned out, because I think that there's a certain amount of wiggle room in any recipe. And if you need any advice, if you can't get hold of bits and pieces and you want to ask me, I'm here on the Foodies Facebook page. Just ask me in the comments and I will try and answer anything that you ask within reason. If I can help, I will. I absolutely will. But like I said, flour is out there. Please do not worry. It is out there. There is no shortage of supply. It's just being panic bought in the supermarkets at the moment. It's toilet paper, but it is out there, I promise you. Now, I'm going to be back here on the Foodies Facebook page next Saturday at the same time, 2 p.m, and I'm going to be making something a little different. I'm going to be making a rainbow strawberry smoothie bowl. I love all of those words individually. together I'm hoping they're going to make something really, really delicious. I'm going to be using these. I'm so excited about these because it's strawberry season. Yes, so good. I'm going to be using these. These are Zara strawberries. Again, a premium variety. They are, again, enormous. If it's not as big as my head, I'm not interested. There we go. And they've got these beautiful little hats on them. Aren't they gorgeous? Loads of foliage on them. They are delicious, super sweet. So I thought it would be good fun to make a smoothie bowl. These have been really popular over the last kind of year or so. This is going to be, again, a kind of breakfast, get you going in the morning, fill you up with fibre and vitamin C and all those amazing nutrients that are going to keep you going all day. And we're going to give it a little bit of a rainbow twist because I'm loving the rainbows at the moment. I don't know about you guys. I go on my little daily shuffle, shall we say, around the block, doing my couch to 5k run on a handful of, Maravilla raspberries to keep me going. I go on my little shuffle and I see all of the beautiful rainbows that the children have put in their windows, and it keeps me going. It really does. I think, yeah, I can do this. That and the Rocky soundtrack, both perfect to keep you going. So keep it right here on the Foodies Facebook page. Thank you to our friends at Berry People for these beautiful, beautiful berries. This is broken, so I'm going to have to eat it. And I'm definitely going to be nibbling on these if they're going to decrease the signs of my aging, definitely. So I will see you next week. The recipe is going to be right here. Thank you so much, everybody. In the meantime, please stay home, stay safe, and whatever you do, stay gorgeous. I've been Charlotte White, and I'll see you next week. See you later.